So, if you don't already know, one of the characteristics of Wahite supremacy culture is worship of the written word. And I just figured out one of the reasons that they like that. I was on Threads and there was a post where this person posted an email that their superintendent got from a student about the weather in Chicago. One of the lines was, "The wind disrespectful," and everybody found it funny. I saw in the comments, one of the people was like, "Oh, I sent this to my superintendent. She thinks she's going to start signing off her emails as 'appreciate you,'" which, as we know, Ebonics. A benefit of the written word is that you can get information without being in community with people. So some cultures, as you know, appreciate the griots, storytelling, passing down information through being around each other and communicating with each other, getting energies from each other. And Wahite supremacy is all about individualism, being separate, kind of centering your world around you, your thoughts, and what you want. Not thinking about the common good at all, not thinking about your fellow human being. So yes, a lot of the ways that some of y'all black people operate today is some Wahite people shit. So one of my biggest pet peeves is Wahite people's need to always be window shopping and taking people's stuff. Like every time they see something, they need to take it for their own. I personally have never been like, "Oh, that person said that word, I need to immediately start saying it." Like even, the little finger motions and all that stuff. I actually decided not to do that because I'm like, that is not my community. I'm not going to start doing that because I didn't learn that in community. I know that's an extreme way to think, but that's just how I am. I don't care what other people do. Y'all can do whatever the heck y'all want. But like, I like learning stuff in the community. So any part of my lexicon that is not directly from Detroit is from me being in community, whether it was me going to Rochester, New York for college, whether it was me living in New Orleans for 12 years, which apparently is why I have some type of southern accent that I don't even know how I have a southern accent because I can't hear myself talk southern. So, and sometimes, the Detroit accent, which I don't feel like I've ever had, but that can sound southern because of the Great Migration. And if I decide to take something from, living in LA, it will be a word or two. I don't just try to take stuff just because I like somebody else saying it. I just like that they said it and they can still have it. I respect other people's culture, even if it's subcultures of Black American culture. Social media is an extension of that written word because we're constantly sharing stuff online, and people don't have to be in community with others to learn that information. A lot of reasons that Ebonics sounds weird coming out of people's mouth is because you learn Ebonics in community with Black people. If you try to take it from Urban Dictionary or from somebody else's video, you're listening to what people are saying, but you're not understanding the true context. That's why we can see people in other countries who are using Ebonics and it just sounds so wrong because they're using it wrong. They're making up their own definitions, kind of like similar what happened with the feds in the UK. It's like, y'all are listening to what is happening because you don't care about the context. You don't care about how you're not using it properly. And I also have a tangential belief that I kind of just came to realize that, some baby boomers and Gen X just refuse to pass down this information. And we had to grow up in a world where it was like, do as I say, not as I do. But millennials and Gen Z are very much big on why are we doing this? And so we end up taking a different path, but if you had just told us why, we would have actually done what you said we should do. So my example of that in this instance is code switching at work. I don't necessarily code switch at work, but I don't use Ebonics at work because Wahite people love to take. And so as soon as they hear you say a phrase, they're going to start saying it, or they're going to take it, whether they use it in front of you or use it at their house. Once they hear something that they think is cool, and whatever Black people do is automatically associated with cool. So once they see something that they think is cool, they're going to take it. And so sometimes when we think about code switching, we're like respectability politics. We're like, you have to put on a face. But I don't fully code switch as in use Ebonics. I still use my normal voice. I don't have a Wahite people voice. But I also don't use Ebonics because I'm protecting my culture from them because they don't know how to just let stuff stay in the glass case. They gotta take it and put it in a museum. So I'm not giving them access to my artifacts so they can put it in their museum. And of course, additionally, they like worship of the written word because you can create your own story. America and a lot of the West is creating their own reality, not based off actual history. So once we say, his story, that's why they like the written word, because you can change it up. Obviously, in passing down stories, there could be this idea of telephone, but because it was so practiced in different cultures, your stories were actually very accurate. And if you're in community, if you get a point wrong, there could be someone else there to fill in the gaps. But if you're just reading something from a book, you don't have someone there to be like, actually, this point was wrong. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, typically the unwritten, unspoken rule in Black American culture that we don't even realize we have is that when we see somebody from afar, like, oh, I love when New Orleans people say baby, we would go to them, please say baby for me. We don't take it like, oh, I love that they say baby, I'm gonna learn how to say baby. Like, no, I'm from Detroit, I'm not gonna say baby. I'm let them have that. And so when we have our Black American children growing up in these different Wahite spaces, they take on their culture. So now we have a bunch of people on social media, because social media is an extension of worship of the written word. Y'all just be taking people's stuff and y'all don't be in community with them. That's not how we typically did it when we were all very much in community and we were forced to be in community. But it was very much better when we were forced to be in community, because we still had our cultural practices. People be moving to the Wahite people areas and not teaching their children how to be Black. Yeah, that's what I don't like about Wahite people. They just be window shopping and waiting for you to say something cool so they could take it and use it in their own life.